For the second episode in a row here on the True North podcast, I'm joined by a Canadian swimmer. Last time it was Ariana Hunsicker. This time it's Javier Acevedo. Javier, thank you so much for taking the time to join the show.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
I guess it's been about 9 or 10 months now, I guess, since Paris 2024. What have you kind of been up to, I guess, since the game has ended?
Yeah, I've been up to a little bit. I've been keeping pretty busy. So I've been working with the Ontario Ministry of Sport, so as a public servant, as a day job, and then I spend a couple hours at the end of the night coaching with the North York Aquatic Club in Scarborough at the Pan Am Center. I've also been trying to keep up with my training, so I'll train about 4 to 5 times a week, whenever I can on when I'm working from home or in the morning and on the weekends, and just trying to fit in as other things as possible as well, like serving on the Ministerial Athlete Advisory Committee with the federal minister or now Secretary of Sport, um, and as well serving as the co-chair on the Swimming Canada Athlete Advisory Council. So lots on the go, a million different things, but that's okay. I like to keep myself some busy.
Yeah, that seems like a pretty busy schedule. You mentioned the Toronto Pan Am Sports Center there. Obviously, this venue's been hosting lots of big events over the years, but how important is it, like you said, to have local community swimmers use that pool and how maybe has that contributed to the sport growing in recent years?
It's been a lot of fun, seeing the community grow and use that community center so much. I've lived in Scarborough my whole life, apart from the time when I was in school in the States. And to be here, I remember I think it was a garbage dump. Like it was the land that it sits on was an actual garbage dump. And to see it transformed into this great facility that, I think hundreds of thousands of people use every year, is incredible. And so to see that community grow and rise, and especially in the last 9 months since Paris, I've actually just been swimming lane swim. I haven't had time to practice with the high performance team. So to go in lane swim, see all the older athletes, we'll call them, or leisure swimmers, and them to ask me questions and interact with them, and see the other side of the sport and other side of fitness, is really fun.
Canada, the last decade or so, has really established itself as a swimming nation, and the last 4 or 5 years, especially on the men's side as well, the last two cycles, I guess. What do you think has maybe led to this development in recent years, and where the relays are coming along, and some medals are coming now in individual events as well?
I think the investment that Swimming Canada has had on the men's and women's side is really starting to come to fruition, and that's what's leading to all the success on the men's side and the women's side for sure. The women have had success since 2016. We put a lot of investment, a lot of time into setting ourselves up for both of the rise of the men now and the women in the past and still currently. And you see that, right? You see Josh Sano, you see an Ilya Karun, you see Finley Knox and myself and others included, Yuri Kissel as well, gone to three Olympics, right? So it's been an incredible rise for the Canadian men's team, and I have no doubt that it'll continue to rise. You have other athletes who are in university right now or in high school and still continuing that success. And I hope that what legacy I have in terms of the swimming world, or in Canadian swimming world, is that we put ourselves out there originally, and now these guys are there to not just make a final or a semifinal. It's now about winning a medal, and that's the fun part.
What kind of role do you think you have played in that? Whether it's like you said, or whether it's mentoring these guys like Josh, like Finley, like Ilya, who are kind of becoming serious players now in this sport.
I think my role has been to just be someone who puts themselves out there, within the swimming world, right? Like I went to school in the States. I did it at a high school level. I think I had a lot of Canadian records or provincial records at a high school level, and so those guys who are, or like, I remember Josh was coming up when I was still in high school. He was a younger guy, but he was there, and he was starting to break records and all that stuff. And it's super cool now to see not only is he breaking records, but he's winning Olympic medals. And that's the cool part you get to see. So in terms of legacy, I don't know. I guess like what I've done in the past, has led to their success. And then what they're doing right now will lead to even more success, I hope, right? Like there are other male and female swimmers who are living the success of their past, right? Someone will live off Josh's success. Someone has lived off Penny's success. Look at Penny and Summer, that interaction. 2016, there's a famous photo of them two standing beside each other, and now you got Summer winning all these medals, right? So it's incredible.
You mentioned going down to compete in the States for university. How much of that was maybe an eye-opening experience where you see the NCAA sports are such a much bigger scale, I guess, than Canadian sports in that sense?
Yeah, the U.S. was such a interesting system, and I'd never really gone and thought about it until I got there. Like I knew I was wanting to go to the States. I knew I wanted to get that opportunity and to compete for a big school. And the University of Georgia is an incredibly big school. I remember being nervous on my first day, and luckily I had a great roommate who helped me along the way, just kind of settle down because I was like in shock of all this. Right, you got huge football fields and game days are the college town fills up with hundreds of thousands of people. So it was an incredible opportunity just to be there and experience that, and knowing that if we want to build that in Canada, there's a model right there to model it off of, and I think that there's a possibility for that in Canada. I think we're a ways away, but I certainly think that it can be possible where we have sports in Canada, and especially swimmers, succeeding to the level that the NCAA swimmers have. I mean, you see it right now with Blake Tierney and Finley being at UBC, competing at U Sports, and they're putting up times that would compete against the guys in the U.S. So it's pretty cool.
You mentioned that UBC and then obviously the one in Toronto as well with U of T. How much is that could be sort of a framework, I guess, for maybe these other centers popping up across the country one day in the future potentially?
I think there's opportunity all the time. I mean, Calgary also has a great place for university swimmers. I'm sure like McGill and other schools around there. The Atlantic provinces have some schools that are pretty good as well. And so there's lots of opportunity to build around that, and I think there's a lot of opportunity that the athletes have in those programs. They have coaches who understand how the Canadian sports system works, so they're going to tailor them for what their needs are, whether that be Can West or OUA, or that be U Sport, or whether that be Canadian trials and get ready for long course season. So that's the fun part about our system. We're always switching back and forth to short course to long course, whereas the Americans are always just short course yards, and then they'll switch to the long course when it's their time. But yeah,
Your Olympic experiences have been kind of wildly different in many ways. Obviously the first one in Rio, then sort of the chaos and uncertainty, I guess, of Tokyo, and then this big grand event in Paris. How do you kind of reflect on your experiences from that standpoint? Maybe not necessarily in the pool, but just kind of the event around it.
it's crazy to have lived through completely different experiences, right? When you're a little 18-year-old, I mean, seems like you're older, but at the time. But when you're an 18-year-old at the Olympics, you're like, what's going on? Everything's just being thrown at you, right? I was still in high school when I made the team, and I come back to having to do English essays like the next week after I made it, right? So that was a huge eye-opening experience. Then Tokyo, right? Like the fact that it was completely different scenario with all the restrictions, and making sure that we were safe in a good environment. So to see the contrast between 2016 and 2020 was huge, and then to come in and like into 2024, I have known so many athletes. I have experienced the international competitions, have made lots of friends along the way, lots of competitors along the way as well, and so it made me feel much more comfortable knowing that my best performances came in Paris, because I was really prepared with two experiences prior to that led me to the success I had in Paris.
And obviously every pool is different, I guess, in some ways. What was the one in Paris? Like I know there was some talks about like the depth of it was an issue at times, I think.
Yeah, I think the depth of the pool was a factor for sure. I think in the times. However, at the end of the day, I mean, this applies to everything, right? You're still gonna have to swim 50 meters, right? You're still gonna have to run the 100-meter dash. Doesn't matter what track you're on. Doesn't matter which pool you're in. Doesn't matter. What matters is the 8 people or whatever, 10 people or whatever it is, like on the day of that you're racing against. And so, who's gonna remember the time that Summer McIntosh went? I mean, there might be some, but they're gonna be remembering, oh my gosh, Summer McIntosh, the gold medalist at the Olympics, right? That's the more important part. So I think when we think about how slow the pool was, I think it's, yeah, sure, it was a factor. End of the day, I think that what mattered most is you getting up on the blocks and just racing your best. And if you touch against someone else and you beat them, you're going to be a champion versus not. So
And can anything prepare you for being at the Olympics, like an opening ceremony or closing ceremony? I know swimmers don't go to the opening typically, but
no, no.
like what is that experience like of a closing ceremony? This huge event like that.
Well, it's actually only my second closing ceremony. I didn't go to Rio. I had to go to school immediately. So basically left after the open water swimming. Swimming Canada made not made us. We wanted to, and they made us, but stay at the open water stuff so we could cheer on our teammates as well. So I had to leave right away. I couldn't stay for closing ceremonies. Then Tokyo, everyone was forced to leave after a certain amount of time. Even in Paris, we were told that we had to leave the village, but we could come back for closing ceremonies. So that was fun. So to experience the closing ceremony, and maybe my second one, Pan Am Games in 2019 was my first ever one. But the second one being this was so cool, right? Like this is like you get to walk and see a crowd of people that you've never seen before. You get to watch a performance from a musical band in Phoenix, which I loved. That was really cool. I'm a big fan of them. So it was really fun just to be there with my teammates in a celebration, right? We went to Parliament later on in December, and like these moments of celebration for your athletes of what you're doing of representing Canada on the highest stage of what you do. That's what we love, the recognition, the opportunity to then go and say, "Wow, this is a great experience I will never forget."
And this always comes up in these interviews, but what's the best piece of swag you've ever got from the Olympics?
The best swag. Oh, I think we got some really good stuff this past year. I mean, not to say that we didn't get anything good in previous years. We got like a whole Canadian suit jacket thing, with the jeans and the jean jacket. But I think this year, I think the best part for me was the Lululemon shoes we got. That was pretty fun. That was pretty good. And I think you saw a lot of stuff on social media about everyone just revealing all this gear, and it's like, yeah, we got all this gear. That's sick. That's so cool.
And did you try the famous chocolate muffin?
Of course, yeah, yeah. I tried it. It was. I mean, I tried it more than once. I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you here. After my meet was over, I was eating it like it was like my breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So, it was pretty good. It was pretty good. Very, very much what you saw on like the internet and on TikTok or on Instagram. It was very much worth the hype. So I hope they bring it back for 2028.
And you posted recently that you signed with Mizuno, got the shirt on there as well. There's some banter in the comments about retirement. Have you thought at all about LA or taking it one step at a time here?
Yeah, I want to go to LA. I do want to go to LA. I told myself it was a post that I made a long time ago, maybe not a long time, but the year before, and I told myself that like if they added 50s a stroke, so 50 back, 50 breast, 50 fly, that I would keep going. And so they added them. They added them in March, I believe, World Aquatics and the IOC. So I know that for me, I want to keep going an extra 3 years because I think that's cool. I think it's an incredible opportunity to go swim at SoFi Stadium in LA, and like that's what kind of person doesn't want that experience. And for me, this year has been a year of all right, maintain. The next 3 years will then be ramping up, building into the Olympic cycle, knowing that I have done all the work that I've had to in the last decade plus I've been swimming. What can I do in the next 3 years? Well, I can work on being a little stronger in the weight room, right? Getting a little more power for those 50s, right? Those 50s are 30-second races, so you need a completely different system than what you need for like let's say a 200, right? So those are the things that I'm going to be working on heading in. But for this time, I think that I do want to go to LA. I just want a summer off just to be able to just settle down, be here, be here with my family, be here with friends, and just be able to enjoy a little bit of life and then get back into it.
Yeah, and does it move the needle at all? Like you said, the 50-meter strokes, like in terms of your competition as well. Like how many people do you think will be following a similar path to you, where maybe this does extend their career another 4 years?
I think it's going to extend a lot of. I think it's a positive thing, and I think it's a positive thing for two reasons. One, to what you just spoke to. I think that a lot of athletes in my position, the athletes that are out of university and they're like, well, what do I do? This will extend their careers to be like, well, maybe I can go lift. Maybe I can just go lift and get strong and go swim as well. And that's gonna only make the event a stronger event. 50 back, 50 rest, 50 free, 50 fly as well. So those are going to make those stronger. And I think the other advantage of having these 50s is you'll see the participation levels go up and the retention levels go up in swimming. Right now, we're having a problem where we're not really retaining as many athletes because the commitment to time for a 2 hour and 30-minute practice or whatever is a lot on student athletes, right? Or young kids who want to come into swimming, right? Like it's a lot of work. So to have 50s where maybe you have an hour practice and maybe 30 minutes of weights or strength session to like build these athletes for these events, I think that's a great thing. And you're just adding more fuel to the fire to our sport growing and continuing to be better and better, and not just internationally, but in Canada as well.
And you mentioned, building over an entire cycle. Obviously, there's tapering. People talk about all the time about a 1 year cycle maybe, but how do you extend that over a 4 year cycle where, uh, you know, you're planning for world championships or trials necessarily, and not the Olympics, where it's obviously the biggest stage of all.
I think that you have to understand that when you're going into these non-Olympic years, that they're just as important. It's 365 days a year. Um, before each or during each year, you have a chance to improve on something, right? Um, and the results of the evidence of your decisions is something one of my coaches always said to me. Um, and that means every decision that you make each and every day is going to impact the result. And so if I want to be there in 3 years, I can't just, eat McDonald's every day for the rest, for the entire year that I'm not, taking a little bit off, right? Like I can't do that because I know that I won't be in the best shape for the next 3 years. So, staying prepared, staying healthy, also trying to find improvements, not in the non-Olympic years, do help you. And that year before the Olympics, the World Championships that in 2027 will be important because we qualify relays, the quota spots for Canada to participate in relays at the Olympics. So that'll be an important one as well.
Can you speak a bit about that 2022 year for you? Like I know you had big performances at the Worlds, at the Commonwealth Games as well,
Yeah.
coming off the NCAA the year before. I think like how important was that year for you, and kind of maybe honestly maybe hitting your prime, but like sort of yeah, I guess of hitting your prime.
Yeah. No, yeah, it was a great year. 2022 was great. I had just come off of university. I felt like it was the first year where I came into the High Performance Center in Ontario, so right at TPASC, the Pan Am Center. Um, and I just felt like, I'm at home, I'm at ease. Like let's do this thing. So I really gave a lot to improve, and so my times came down with that. I got my 100 backstroke time back into the 53s. I got my 100-meter freestyle into the 49 low range, and I'd never done that before. And it was a tough time too. I remember I didn't have a coach leading into trials. I did have a coach. Sorry, I didn't have a training group. That 2022 year was a little weird because in the winter I had asked to be with the High Performance Center, and then I didn't get in. And so I had to reach out to an old coach of mine who coached at Ajax, and he was kind of off, and I was kind of off. And so we were like, well, let's just partner together. We got 3 months to go. Let's do this thing. Let's just make trials. Let's just, kind of give like an FU to everyone who like doubts you, like I kind of love that. And so like I made the team. I was swimming really well, and that made me so happy. And then I got into the High Performance Center, and then I led to the performances, Commonwealth Games, World Championships that I had in the summer when I joined that group, and I got all the resources that I wanted and needed to keep improving. And that only led to more higher quality performances at the World Cup stops in 2022 and 2023 and all that stuff. So yeah.
And I know it had its faults, but one thing that I was fascinated by at the time was the International Swimming League. You competed, of course, with many Canadians as well. Do you think a team-based kind of pro league like that is something the sport needs, I guess, to sort of fill the gaps between international events like that?
I don't think it. I think it needs more. We need more fun in the sport. I think we look at things like high performance. We think of, oh, these this has to be it. We need this. And I think it's more of like we want this because we know there's a lot of growth that we can have in our sport. Um, we know that swimming is the most popular sport or one of the most popular sports at the Olympics every 4 years. We know that. How can we maximize that during the non-Olympic years, right? Like, soccer or something like that. Now, will we ever be as big? No. But what we can do is have, swimming pro leagues or, fun little exhibition events. In my parents' days, I remember that they told me that like Donovan Bailey and Ben Johnson ran a race in the Sky Dome, right? And an exhibition race, like that kind of stuff maybe gets that incentive of being like, yeah, let's do this. Let's have a little fun. So yeah.
Here's your chance. Who do you want to call out for a 1v1 in the Sky Dome?
1v1 at the Sky Dome. Um, if I were to have someone, it would be. I'll give a shout out to my boy Kasper Stokowski. He's from Poland. He's my boy. But 1v1, let's just go 50 backstroke or something. Sky Dome, let's go.
Love it. Canadian trials coming up again in a week. I know you're in the 50 back event for that. What are your kind of your goals and expectations, I guess, heading into that event, but also the whole year, I guess, coming up?
Yeah, so I decided to pull out late. So I won't be competing actually there. I just announced that yesterday on X or Twitter or whatever. But yeah, no, it was going to be an opportunity, but also at the same time, like I said, I want a break. I just want a mental break from all this, and it's not easy to get going for another 30 days where you have to go on the road and you have to go to Singapore and Japan, and it's like I want a summer where like I am able to relax, take a deep breath, and just catch myself with friends and family and all that stuff, and I think that's going to be great for me. And I can't wait to see all the success. I mean, it's going to be great. I think the trials in a week from now, you're going to see a lot of fast times. You're going to see some newcomers up and coming, right? And that's the fun part about our sport is that there's always someone chasing you. So that. I can't wait for that.
And yeah, apologies, I must have missed that. But how important is a break like that? Like I know we've seen some swimmers like Caleb Dressel, I think is one of the bigger ones who took I think like almost like 3 years off or something like that. Like how important is it to get these breaks? I guess when you're not always just going 100 miles an hour all day every day.
It's so important, right? Like I mean, I for a decade plus, I've been basically going to junior national competition or senior national competition. I don't think I've spent more than 2 weeks at home in the month of July in literally a decade plus. Other than COVID, maybe other than COVID, but so it's this is the opportunity for me to just take that time back into it, and then you know what, in the end of July, maybe in the beginning of August, then get back into training and be able to get ready for the next 3 years. But like having that mental break, a lot of athletes need that, right? And you're seeing that more and more and more now with athletes announcing that they're taking breaks, and it's not retirement. It's just that we need a time to just take a space and just think for ourselves and be with the people that we care and love about.
You know, City Pickram I think is doing the same thing this year as well.
Yeah.
You mentioned some other Canadian talents. Who else are you gonna be watching out for over the next week?
I think we'll see. Well, I'll give a shout out my Mizuno ambassador partner, Lawan Kim. I think he'll be pretty good. He's been pretty strong on the junior team for a few years. I think Ethan Eck on the men's side will also be pretty good. You'll see the stars be stars, of course. And then on the women's side, you'll see again the stars be stars, right? You'll see Summer, you'll see Kylie, you'll see Ingrid, you'll see Sophie Angus, right? Like people who will continue to be good. But I think on the women's side, you'll see someone like Madison Krieger do pretty well. She swims out of the high performance center here. She'll be pretty strong. Might make a team. So there's a lot of athletes I think that you'll see at the trials that will swim really well. And it's just that's the fun thing is like when I made the team, I think people thought that maybe I had a shot, but I still had to drop a lot of time to do it. Like no one really thought I was a favorite, and you drop a lot of time because you want it that badly. And I think you're going to have a lot of athletes this time go around when you have athletes like myself or Sydney pulling out or taking events off. Like Kylie's not doing the 200 back. So you're going to have athletes starting to step up and be like, that's my chance to now take this spot. And that's the fun part.
And looks like there's a giant water slide there in Victoria. Do you guys go down it if they win?
Uh, I that would be cool. I don't think it's ever. I really don't think it's ever been open anytime we went, which is crazy because you would think. I don't know. No coach would ever let us go on it. We got in trouble from not in trouble, but like we were told don't do that at the staging camp. A bunch of us at the Paris staging camp in Caen, and there was like a water slide in a pool right behind like the training pool we're at, and like some of us got to go on it, and then some of us wanted to, and then they were like, "Do not do that. You are literally 2 weeks out from the Olympics. Do not do that." So we were like, "Okay, all right, fine, sounds good." So no,
You mentioned her name a few times now. Summer McIntosh announced yesterday she's going to be swimming with Bob Bowman going forward. Michael Phelps' former coach, and obviously already one of the best swimmers in the world. But what has it been like for you over the past few years to kind of see her emergence over this span?
it's been cool. I mean, Summer is someone who's so mature for her age. She's also just like a pretty good person to be around. Like she's very like outgoing, very happy, and just herself. And like anytime I talk to her, I do love seeing that about her. Is like she's just like herself, and with all this success that's come her way at young age, like and now she's growing older, like she sees that like the best way to success is just like be yourself, and like she has a lot of want to be the best athlete in the world, and I love that. I mean, she is the best athlete in the world. So what motivates her now is to continue being more successful and to continue that, and I love that. Like I might not have had the success that she had at that international level, but to see her grow and to see her do with the family as well, I think is pretty cool. The success that her sister has had as well in figure skating, her mom has had, and I don't know everything, but I do know that like the family, the sense of family in that Macintosh household is really cool, and something that my family has always been happy with me is that I always make sure that family is always priority, and I'm sure she's the same way.
And you were obviously there in 2016 when Penny had her breakout at Rio 2016. Do you kind of see any similarities between the two at all, whether it's the young phenom thing or just kind of the power both of them seem to have in the water as well?
Yeah, I think they're both, you know, even Penny now, I think really is an inspiration to a lot of athletes. And definitely for Summer as well. I think when you look at the two, it's hard to compare and just say, hey, one is more successful than the other. They're both. I mean, Penny is still the most decorated, tied with the most decorated Olympian in Canadian summer history, I believe, with Andre DeGrasse. And Summer's right on her way to do that, right? So they kind of feed off each other. Like Penny's success and Summer's success feed off each other. And now, I hate putting them together and pitting them together, but I think like it just goes to show that camaraderie that we have on the Canadian national team and everyone wanting success for each other. I don't think anyone's jealous. I don't think it's like that. I think it's more like, you see Summer doing well, everyone's happy for her. You see Josh and Ilya do really well, everyone's happy for them. So I think that's the thing on this team. It's from 2016 onward, I've seen so much team camaraderie and the effort that goes into it. It's never just an individual sport swimming. It's a team effort. So yeah,
And before I let you go, are you down for a quick rapid fire round?
go for it.
Awesome. Who's your favorite athlete of all time that is not a swimmer?
That is not a swimmer. Let's go with. Oh my gosh, it's a rapid fire, and I'm messing this up. Oh my gosh. Okay, I don't know. Dirk Nowitzki. Let's go with that. Boom.
Awesome. And what about swimmer?
Swimmer Ian Thorpe.
Which other Olympic sport do you think you'd be the best at?
Ooh, I think I'd be good at tennis. I used to play some tennis back in the day. I think I'd be pretty good.
Are there more doors in the world or wheels?
I think wheels.
Favorite show and movie of all time?
Movie Happy Gilmore. It was for a long time Happy Gilmore. To be honest, it might actually be, and this is really weird, but I think it's Wicked, the musical. I don't know. It was a good movie. Like it was really good. Show, I would say probably Star Wars: The Clone Wars. Let's go with that. I love that animated show. It was good. Or Andor. That was good too.
Finally, what's one place still on your travel bucket list?
I really want to go to every province and territory in Canada, so I would say all of them. I've yet to go to the East Coast because usually all the places I go are all for swimming. So I want to go out east. I've never been to like New Brunswick. I've never been to Nova Scotia. I've never been to Newfoundland, right? Or PEI. And then I've never gone to the territories. Every other province I've been to. So I still have a lot to go and eventually I'll get to it. But maybe once the swimming career is over, we'll see.
Javi, it's been a pleasure to have you on the show, and thank you so much for the time and all the best going forward.
Well, thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah. So good luck with everything you do.